Okay, you're live.
Hi, everybody. Nick Zentner here in the auditorium. Nat and I are going to test a few things for about 10 minutes, and then I'm going to give a 20-minute talk, and we'll practice using the slideshow thing. I'm not sure this one's going to stay on the channel or not, but it's 2:20 right now, 20 minutes after 2 p.m. Pacific time, and we're going to start our little talk at 2:30. So thanks for joining us. Can you hear me? And Nat has got an eye on the live chat, I think.
5x5.
5x5. That's wonderful. Can you hear Nat? Nat, what did you have for breakfast this morning?
Donuts, basically. homemade donuts.
Homemade donuts.
Yeah, gotta have my sugar.
Oh my! Are ABC donuts?
No.
Literally homemade.
My wife made.
Oh my God!
Because I have a very limited diet due to migraines, so I can't have any additives or preservatives. So she bakes everything fresh.
Wow!
I gotta have fresh sugar.
How's your migraine right now?
Well, I haven't had one this week yet.
Okay. Have you had a migraine with me and you never told me?
No.
Oh, there's a lesson. There's a life lesson in there somewhere. Okay, everybody. So let's go to camera 2, or I don't know. Let's
you want to go to the front of the room?
I guess we'll just test these things out. So this is home base, I guess we can call it. And I'm sorry. Can you see? Are they hearing you as well? Okay.
Everything looks good back here.
Okay. One more time, if you're just joining us, we will begin this slideshow live at 2:30. But until then, I'm going to just troubleshoot with Nat. So thanks for joining us. People will keep trickling in. Okay, I'm totally blind here, right? I can't see anything. I can't, it's not like I'm going to have another monitor up here necessarily.
Well, what is it you're missing? The chat?
It's a good question. Like I'm still, I should have talked this out with you ahead of time. When I'm sitting there and the guest is speaking, let me come over and see you here.
Okay. Yeah, you're in full control of what everybody's seeing back here.
Got it.
And the chat's going, it's live, and
yeah, let's get the wide shot, please.
Okay.
Thank you. Look at you. Good. You can see 111 people. OBS is there. You don't really have to keep OBS on, or do you? I guess.
I just like for switching camera angles is nice to see.
And it's just those two angles
and
that we have so far.
And then the screen when you're doing your slideshow.
The screen. So let's get to that, because time is a wasting away. I don't know if I like that live shot. Look, are we still on the live shot? So there's Nat.
Hello.
I mean, I'm really just testing this when we have guest speakers, and I'm definitely not. We're not going to have a student standing here. I'm standing in front of the screen at the front of the room. I don't know. I won't play with it too much, I guess, today, but maybe this is far enough off. We can get the speaker. We can have somebody eating a sandwich or homemade donuts to stave off the migraines. We're going to keep it on you for right now.
All right.
Okay. So, I'm the guest speaker. The guest speaker, and Ned Zinger has helped me set up my talk, which is a keynote presentation. Now, we can both control this.
Yep. Go ahead and open your keynote.
Cannot find my cursor.
Whoa.
We have the same cursor?
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
All right, go ahead.
All right. And this new laptop, I want to just go full, and we can talk about that later.
Now, just a second here, because it looks like I need to flip this whole thing. Can you flip it in YouTube?
How do you mean flip it?
Well, everything's backward on YouTube. So, is there a camera?
Oh, setting? I see. Literally backwards.
There's got to be a camera setting on YouTube, right? That lets me.
First time for this.
It's not backwards for me. The text looks fine here. Not backwards.
Whoa.
Okay. Okay. If it's not backward, I won't mess with it. Okay. I'm not going to touch it. You're good to go.
So I'm in the magic circle right now.
You're in the magic circle.
How's the lighting? Am I dark? Can you see me okay?
You look fine.
Whatever.
Yeah.
And home viewers, just to clarify, this slide, oh, I've got my clicker here. Oh boy. I don't have a clicker that's working. I just tested this before. It was working. Why not now?
Try now. There you go.
What did you do?
I just made sure that Keynote was the window that was selected.
Okay. So this as well, home viewers, I can't see the live chat, but Nat can. You can totally read this. You're telling me, yes, you can read this. It's not backwards.
It says good to go.
Good to go. Wow.
Crystal clear.
Okay, so let's just think this out. We got 3 minutes. What's backwards then?
No, I don't know. I guess
Must be the laptop communicating to that.
YouTube is doing something weird on our end. I guess it's for how you would see it if you were looking at it and had a web. I don't know.
Huh. Okay.
They say it's good, so
Okay, I got to do 2 more tests. Time's running out, but I got to do 2 more tests. So the last slide is not part of the talk. Yeah, this is arm wrestling over that cursor.
well, you just got to.
Okay. Viewers, this is a video clip embedded within my Keynote. Can you hear the audio? Because I cannot. Home viewers, can you hear the audio from this video clip within Keynote? Yes or no?
There is audio playing right now.
Yes.
What have we taken?
Oh,
Okay. All right. Well, I've got you muted,
okay.
but let me
But home viewers, can you hear within a Keynote? Are you hearing the video?
let me try and add an audio.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm putting you on the spot.
I just didn't know you were going to try and do this. That's all.
That's
That's not what I want.
you're going to get a migraine soon enough. That's my goal before you leave. Good thing I got a maple bar in my pocket.
I don't think.
Wide shot, crowd reaction. Okay, that's so.
Right, hang on here.
I can't expect you to solve problems while we're live streaming, can I? I mean, you are superhuman, but
there is a way to do this, but
Okay.
It's going to take a lot of tinkering because
okay, not essential today. Thank you. I got one more. Is this going to be the same thing then? So, are they home viewers? You are not hearing the audio, I
they're
presume.
not. They're
Okay.
not.
Let's try one other thing. Is this going to be any different? Nat, you're going to just shut me down anyway. But like, if I go, what was I going to do? Oh, I was going to. Oh, I can't even go to the browser,
Yeah, you can. Oh, do you need a new window?
I guess. And if I go to, oh shit, I'm live streaming right now.
Right.
What does that look like? Is that some sort of double whammy for those guys at home?
They're seeing a screen within a screen, I guess.
Okay, all right, makes sense. Escape. What if I tried to show this, which should have audio?
They're not going to get any audio from this.
But home viewers, you can see the video fine. Dumb question, right? Anything on my screen they can see.
Correct.
All right. I am going to give you a migraine. I can tell it. I can tell. Okay. So it's just the audio that we'll think about potentially using, but that's not for today.
Right.
I don't like that intermediate step. It's 2:30, but give us 2 more minutes. Let's just say hi to a few folks. Whoa. Nat, you can say hi to some friends too. Some of you, these are your close friends. Kyle Bain. Oh, sorry. Hi, Jay. Hi, Gordon. Hi, Ray. Tamara. Becky. Yogi. Tom. Where are you guys viewing from? Can I just ask real quick, and then we'll get started with this this slideshow, I guess we'll call it. Bob's in Coopville. Jay's in Kettle Falls. Becky is the home of the Simpsons. What would that be, Nat?
Springfield.
Look at this
One
guy.
of the Springfields.
Look at this guy. Springfield something. I was going to say Colorado, but that's South Park, guys. Ray's Minneapolis, Parma, Idaho. Bonus points. Hey, I've got a relative here. Hey, Bob and Cheryl. New Glarus, Wisconsin. Bonus points for foreign lands. Tom's in the Netherlands. Gordon's in Glasgow. Hello. Now, I'm being a snob towards fellow Americans, but we're going to go two more international folks, and then we're going to start. Ed Moon is in Hampshire, UK. Hello, Ed. And finally, my mother is in Fort Atkinson. Hello, Mom. And Ted is in Sydney, Australia. Okay, great to see everybody. Hope you enjoyed this 20-minute program. And then Nat's got to go back to his office and get some work done. Enough of this clown show. Okay. Ready to go?
You ready?
Okay. Thanks, everybody. It's a pleasure to be with you. I'm pretending to be, actually, home viewers. So this is a 20-minute talk. I'm going to talk. This is a simulation of a true talk to people in the audience. So I'm going to pretend I'm talking to a group of people here in the audience besides just Nat. Okay? So that's our deal. And one other thing. I gave this 20-minute talk last week in Yakima, my first public talk in 2.5 years. And it was part of a downtown Rotary Association. It's a big room, big AV stuff and everything. And I have this talk, and I thought it would be a good short talk to use as a test for this. So this is what I gave. This is what I delivered to the folks in Yakima Rotary last Thursday. Okay, here we go. Hello, everybody in Yakima, Washington. It's great to be down here. 30-minute drive up and over Menashtash, blah, blah, blah. Boy, it's a hot day, isn't it? Huh? How's everything going? How's the chicken tasting? The rubber chicken. Okay, good. So it's a relief to be here with you in Yakima. And I really mean that. It's a relief. You know why? Because I should have been here speaking with you 2.5 years ago. This is the flyer from the appearance that was supposed to happen. Notice the date, please. Thursday, March 5th, 2020. And so I have felt bad ever since March 4th, 2020, because I canceled on you guys the day before, like less than 24 hours in advance, I canceled. And it's because I couldn't get out of bed. That entire first week of March, I was out. And I guess I'll never know what I had. I maybe had it. I'm not sure. But I canceled on you guys. And here I am finally 2.5 years later. This is not a geology talk like I normally do when I come down and visit with you folks. Instead, this is a talk about what has been going on with me since March 5th of 2020. And that's playing with camera angles as well, I presume, as we give this talk. Camera shots, I mean. Did you disengage me, Donut Boy?
Perhaps.
Okay. There we go. So here's the actual email. I won't bother reading it to you, but I'm talking to Mary Beth, and I'm saying I'm so sorry that I have to cancel. I know the text is small, but I've never had to cancel a talk before, and this virus is impressive. Okay. This is, 2 weeks before everything shut down. So this is back in the days when I had this PBS channel and everybody from my school was going to be down there handing out swag and everything to promote the university. The program's called Nick on the Rock. Some of you have seen it on local television here in the Pacific Northwest. But I'm going to use this slide as a placeholder just to simply say that as I was getting better, thankfully, I was recovering the second week in March, and the third week in March, my calendar started to empty out. And you all remember March of 2020, everything just evaporated. All the public talks, all the plans, all the spring break trips, everything else, they just went away. And I don't know about you, but I didn't handle that very well. And so I was talking to my wife, Liz, repeatedly and complaining that I didn't have my public talks. I didn't have all this stuff. And she said to me, look, I don't know how to say this except you need an audience and you better figure out how to find an audience because I'm not going to be your audience. Crowd reaction. Back to this. Good. So I sat in my backyard. I played with an iPhone that I had just purchased, and I found a YouTube button in my phone. I hit the YouTube button. Bijou the cat's over my shoulder. We're sitting in the backyard. It's March 16th. And then I saw this little button said live. So I hit it. And before I knew it, there were people with me on my phone, not video, not voices, but live text. And I was completely startled by this. I had no expectation of anybody joining me as soon as I hit that button live. But I was live streaming, and there it was. So we had a conversation back and forth about why they were there. How did they know to join me? Did they know who I was? I knew nothing about YouTube and subscriptions, and certainly I knew nothing about live streaming. Well, before that little session was done, which is available on YouTube if you want to watch this blank look, this marshmallow-shaped head being totally confused about this, but the folks who joined me that night, I think there were maybe 150 people total, helped me realize that I could find an audience. And so the next night, the next evening, St. Patrick's Day of 2020, I set up a chalkboard in the backyard and I started live streaming. And that spring, I made 75 live stream programs, 5 of them a week, simply just to keep myself busy. And I was communicating with people over long distances live. And each show, I got a little bit better with what I was trying to do. And so that's what this talk is about. Very quickly about me. I promise this is not a geology talk. This is about me. I don't normally like to do that. I like to have geology to talk about, but I think that this is such a strange development that you might find it interesting. This is the classroom that I taught within for 20 years. And there was an overhead projector and a couple of chalkboards, and there were a few seats in there, and a Kodachrome slide projector, and that's about it. And this is the building I was in for 25 years, Lind Hall. It's still here on campus. It's a beautiful old building. And my bathroom was my office was right next to the bathrooms on the way down the hall. So everybody's stopping in and visiting with me on the way to or from the bathrooms. But it was an old school existence. And I had lots of repetition, teaching field courses, teaching classes in person, of course, in classrooms. And my job was to recruit geology students. But about 15 years ago, I realized that enough people were visiting my office from outside of the building, outside of campus. I realized that there was an audience for this geology thing, surprisingly to me. So I started making programs for the public. I started with this interview series on local cable television. This university had a channel 15, KCWU, that broadcast only in this valley. And as I was making these programs called Central Rocks, I was just hoping that some of the farmers out in Badger Pocket would watch after supper. That spun into public field trips. The interest continued to grow. No YouTube yet, just in-person stuff, sending emails. And that got into some downtown lectures. And then somebody started saying, a bunch of people started saying, why don't you film those things, film those lectures and put them on YouTube? And I was very unclear what YouTube even was, but this is maybe 10 years ago-ish, 15 years ago, something like that. And so those downtown lectures became more and more popular by people who were not physically in the room with me, but watching on YouTube. They could watch the lectures anytime they wanted. And those lectures are still there. I was doing different kinds of things also with people who had a talent for video and had a talent for understanding YouTube. I did not. So this is a 2-minute geology series that was made with a friend of mine, Tom Foster, who grew up just a couple houses down from ours. And he then moved down to Tri-Cities. Here's Tom and I. And Tom was really into the YouTube thing and had very specific plans for how to make short videos that would work with an audience. So now I'm into the world of YouTube, but that's different than live streaming, right? That's just making videos and then putting them, on some internet server, basically. So those skills of Tom Foster with photos, Palouse River Canyon, photos, Ice Age raft at Erratic near Pasco, photos, Drumheller channels, walking on columns near Othello, Washington. And then I started to combine what I was doing with what Tom liked to do. So we would have these videos combine his amazing camera work and video skills and microphone skills and my, old school approach. So I'm lugging chalkboards out to the field, So our two worlds are kind of colliding with these kinds of collaborations. The last project we worked on was something called I-90 Rocks, making short geology videos going from Seattle to Spokane. We never finished the series. So you get the idea. Before March of 2020, I was trying different things to feed this hungry audience. And yeah, it maybe culminated in these 5-minute PBS shows, but still nothing's live on the internet. It's all either live in person with people or it's people watching things that we recorded out in the field. Nick on the Rocks, PBS, Chris Smart, Linda Schockler, CWU people. Okay. And all those things are at a website that I maintain. Okay, well, we're back to how we started this session and this confused look on my face, because really for the first time I'm realizing that I can communicate live with more than just 100 people on a field trip or 200 people in an auditorium. I was feeling pretty good about myself maybe as recently as 3 years ago, where I would have 400 people to show up at a talk. Like 400 people, wow. Well, this YouTube live stream thing started, and the number of people watching live grew dramatically within days, especially since everybody's locked down. So you're like, well, that's a crappy thumbnail of your first show. Well, I was too far from the house. I was too far away from the Verizon modem that I had, so the picture was choppy, and I'm flipping off the neighbor because there's a loud car going back and forth, screwing with me. But everything was rough. I was completely out to lunch with what was going on. So the next night I moved indoors. I was next to the modem. I thought the signal would be stronger. I didn't have any microphones yet. You get the idea. The live viewers who were joining every night, first of all, were locked down. We were all stuck at home. So people I was learning, homeschool families, the whole thing, they were looking for something to put on their calendar. But in addition, I was sharing the geology that was easy for me to talk about, but the technology part was a huge step up. I didn't know Nat Donuts Nickel yet. If I would think of what had happened if I had known that 3 years ago. So people are dropping gifts by the house, and I decided I'm going to start using the gifts as props in the live stream series. So everything around the house was fair game. Everything being brought to the house was fair game. I was running up to school in the middle of the night. I wasn't supposed to leave the house. If you remember all that kind of public shaming, if you went and did something you weren't supposed to do. So I'm sneaking into the building at 10 at night to grab a bunch of stuff for the next day. So those programs were steady, and the geology was just that. I didn't have to prep for the geology. I had been doing all that stuff for the previous 10 years. So that part was easy. I could just do it off the top of my head, more or less. But it's all this other stuff that would have been a huge obstacle if I hadn't gotten all the help from the viewers. So we're still talking about the spring of 2020, and I'm not going to do a whole lot more with this slideshow, but this is kind of when things were working full cylinder. And the chalkboard was a character in the live streams, the ladder holding the phone. You can see the iPhone there propped up. I was next to the house, so I had good enough signal. That's right outside our bedroom window, essentially. All these samples brought from school. I devised a way to hold the laptop up to the screen, and I needed it to be dark, so I created this cozy fort, I called it, with these black curtains, this quilt draped over Cozy Fort by Steve. The viewers were sending in apparatus. It was just an amazing community that got established from essentially nothing. Bijou the cat was hanging out half the time, so he got some screen time. I think I went from something like 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. And by the way, they knew how to join me that first night because they were already subscribed. I didn't even know I had a YouTube channel. I'd forgotten I put some videos on YouTube like 10 years earlier. So that grew from about 1,000 subscribers when I started to now I think it's, 45,000 or something like that. So I've kept money out of it. I've kept the urge to like hit like and subscribe and share. I don't do any of that. It's all just for the sake of sharing. And a couple last comments about that first spring. It was a weird time. I think did it really happen, by the way? It does feel like we're back to normal life. And I think there's like this weird dissonance. Like we went through something rather severe globally. Like everybody on the planet was dealing with this in one form or another. Man, and at times it doesn't even feel like it happened. But my point is, because it was so unusual, and I can only speak for myself, I was more emotional than I normally am. So I was like, sobbing in a few of the shows, and people are sending all these heartfelt things. It was kind of scary, and at the same time, it was so much of a relief to communicate with people, even that it was through the YouTube live stream business. So I was saying things at the end of the show that I'd never said before publicly, things like "I love you" or here's a toast to your health and all that. And I've kept some of that. I think the first time I said "I love you," I just kind of did it like sarcastically almost, and Liz saw it and said, "Listen, if you say I love you, you got to mean it. You can't just say that rolling your eyes. It's not a joke." And she was right. I think she was talking about the live streams. Maybe she was talking about something else. Haircuts, couldn't get her haircuts, remember? And then I ran out of geology. By the end of those 75 shows, now I'm on the road. I'm being a little bit bold. I'm going up and visiting with friends and joining them in the field. Apparently we're safe to be out, without masks and everything. So Randy Lewis up in Wenatchee, I started doing field trips down by Vantage, Washington. I needed Verizon coverage. I didn't have any other way to communicate, so I was picking spots that had coverage, but it was all kind of experimental. The last theme of this little slideshow, I'm basically talking to Nat so he doesn't have to feel trapped here. The last theme of this little slideshow is that I was astounded, I think I'm still astounded, that we were talking about Central Washington every night, and yet the viewers were global. Most had never been to Washington. They never will be in Washington. But I just kept talking about what I knew. I didn't start talking about the Straits of Gibraltar or something. I was like, I don't know anything about that stuff. So I was talking about the Tiatan andesite near Yakima and ghost volcanoes up in the Cascades. I mean, all the shtick that I've done for years, Ellensburg blue agates, which are, just north of town. And yet people from Namibia and Rio de Janeiro and Tokyo and Stockholm, they're all watching every night. And so it was clearly more than just learning some new stuff, because the stuff was like totally local. There were a lot of other things that encouraged them to tune in every night. So this is the last of the live streams that spring, talking about Yellowstone and craters of the moon, which was also a live joke. And you can read that number. That's how many people have watched that last live stream of that spring. I'm not saying 73,000 watched live. I think there were maybe 1,600 that were tuning in for that kind of farewell. But the programs remain, and they are discovered by a bunch more people since. So I'm still getting emails to this day saying, "Hey, I just discovered what you're doing, and I'm starting with episode 1." And they're going through that whole series. So yes, Geology from Home with Nick Zentner. You got to love it. T-shirts, the whole thing. somebody on Facebook, there's a Facebook page devoted to this backyard stuff. They plotted all the towns that you all were watching from. Actually, I'm realizing now as I talk to you guys, I'm not talking to Yakima now, I'm talking to you guys at home. Most of you were with me during those first 75 shows. So I can't thank you enough for just showing up every time and providing some energy. But yes, it was truly a global audience, something that continues to amaze me at times. Yeah, even down under. Okay, we got to wrap it up. I didn't quit because of the momentum with that. So the last few slides are simply saying that since the backyard live streams, I started going on the road and making recorded videos and visiting with geologists in their backyard. This is still during the pandemic. This is still summer of 2020. But I felt like I could get around a little bit more without a whole lot of public shaming. And then I started some detailed geology, which I did not know. So that was a transition to learning brand new geology that I've always meant to learn about, but then used the backyard with props from Vinman's Bakery and other fake sponsors, and into the front porch in the fall of 2020 when it got too cold in the backyard, and holding documents up to the camera, which pisses Nat off to this very day, but I think I'll probably keep doing it this winter. And then I didn't really ask anybody. I just started live streaming from the classroom, hoping that I wouldn't get shut down. And my only ask of all you live viewers joining Geology 101, my only ask was, please do not email the president of this university or any administrator and say, thank you. I appreciate your intentions, but please don't do that. You're going to bust me. Because I'm giving away these classes for free, essentially. But I wanted to keep it going. And that has continued, different geology courses being offered to the public. It feels very rare. It feels very new, experimental, I guess. But I'm just one thing leads to another. Viewers sending gifts in for the students and everything, probably illegal on all sorts of fronts. But it all comes from a place of consistency, of hopefully a high standard of the geology covered, and then all this warm, touchy stuff as well, which has continued. So certain elements of the backyard stuff during the heart of the lockdown have been carried forward with many of these other things, including once restrictions started to ease up a little bit, I started having public gatherings. I called them pop-up geology. And so I was starting to meet these folks who had been locked down during most of the programs and now have a chance to, say thank you. And they're getting emotional talking. And again, I'm still not totally sure what happened, but it was very powerful and real. And I can still feel it when I talk to a number of people now, years after the fact. So that whole series of backyard stuff continues. My latest wrinkle last winter was to split the screen and have live guests from around the world who were geologists. And then, of course, you can see the live chat people as well. And that continues to this coming winter, when I'll have a whole new series of programs devoted to something called Baja, BC. And we'll use these different geologists who are on different ends of the spectrum with their views on Baja, BC. So the experimental nature of this continues. Thanks to Nat Nichols' help, I'm trying to show how slideshows can be used in this situation. So I've gone through a lot, most of it positive, I have to say, in the last 2.5 years. I genuinely hope that you have been able to experience mostly positive things, if that's possible, in the last 2.5 years. And now we're all back to a normal existence, and let's push forward, you and I. Thanks very much. Thanks very much. I'd like to talk to Nat for just a few minutes, and then I'll interact with you guys, I think, maybe after Nat leaves. Do you have any reaction? These guys are listening to you, but do you have any reaction to the setup? Do you have an idea of what might work differently or better?
The only thing I was messing around with on OBS.
Okay.
I'll actually, why don't I drag it up to that screen so everybody can see it?
Okay.
Just so they can kind of be part of what we're talking about.
Good.
So let's get out of your PowerPoint. And then I'll put OBS up there so they can kind of.
Oh, yeah. Talk directly to them. That's wonderful. Or are they going to see that?
So this is what I see when I'm, changing your camera angles or whatever.
Yeah.
And your face circle was a little large, I feel.
Oh, you do?
It covers content sometimes.
Okay.
And so early on, I was moving it around a little bit.
Okay.
Which,
yeah,
actually looks kind of fun, I think. But
right. A little too big. Okay, well let's bring it down.
Yeah, I mean, I could just, trim it down a little.
Sure.
It would be helpful, I think. And then also, the problem I had is when I was moving it around, you lost the ability to click. So if I was going to move it, I had to quickly change it and then give it back to you, which was fine. It's just something to be aware of.
Okay. And I didn't have, do I have a pointer on this thing?
You have a laser, but nobody can see it.
Okay.
I mean, they could see it in the room.
You can see it in the room.
But, I mean, you have the arrow, I guess. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know if Keynote.
That's a minor point.
I don't know if Keynote has something like that, does it? I don't know. I don't do slideshows a lot.
No, that's fine.
There's probably
I'll think about that. It's not essential, but yeah, I had this urge to use my cursor, but
oh my God.
Amber alert.
Yeah.
Okay. Before we quit with you, first of all, thanks so much again for coming over.
Sure.
What's your sense? Do you think this camera is even valuable? Like, my whole goal is to have this look differently than just a zoom thing or something. So I want it to be totally unique. And I think cutting to this wide shot on occasion is a smart idea, but I don't know. What are you going to do? See a bunch of people like dozing off? All I can think of is it's going to be helpful when there's action in the room, like there's live Q&A with the speaker,
right.
Or if I'm doing this, figuring out how to do automatic pilot for this whole thing, that's going to be helpful.
Right.
But otherwise,
well, I mean, it's not going to be as useful when you've got an empty room. But
when I have a live crowd, let's just talk this out, and these guys can listen to it, and then I promise we're done. So I think I'm going to do this a couple more times, like simulating the guest speaker thing. But then you've said more than once that it's no big whoop to take this monitor setup and just put it right next to me up there.
Right. Yeah, if you want to be in control of everything when you're doing the solo, that makes more sense. There's no reason to have it over here. This is just when you have a co-pilot.
And everything it's okay.
Somebody said, why not put the wide shot picture in picture? So if we were on your screen.
This is another great example. The home crowd are steering us again. Now it's Nat and I. You're steering. This is a good idea. Do you know what that person is asking or suggesting?
Yeah. So they want
of course you
this. So we could, in theory, also have your wide shot all the time. So that people are seeing you in the front and whoever's in the audience, if you wanted to do that.
Interesting. But it's such a small postage stamp.
It is, but you got the camera anyway. I mean, why not? You said you wanted it to be unique.
That's for sure. I want it to be unique, but I guess live crew, and then Nat, we can keep talking about this. What else can I do? Obviously, the slideshow is the main feature, but wait, you couldn't really change. I'm sorry. When I was doing the slideshow, you couldn't just cut to the wide shot of the room.
Yeah, I can. I do the hotkeys.
But it kind of disrupts the flow of the slideshow, I guess. Like
you'd probably, I mean, you probably have to do it intentionally. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If somebody's going to ask a question in the middle, or you have a reason to point it out, you can pause.
What an idiot. I didn't even think about that. If somebody's giving a talk, I'm not going to cut away from their graph to like see somebody picking their nose for 4 seconds and then go back. I don't think.
I mean, you could also make the wide shot on the presenter.
Yes. But it's still the same thing. I'm getting away from the slides.
Not necessarily. I mean,
how would you mostly keep the slides on
just
and then
point the, so probably what I would end up doing.
Yeah. This is great. This is great.
If we were going to also point this to just show where, a wider angle.
You can see my plot here. And everybody, that's really important. So don't fall asleep now. This Bryce, don't fall asleep.
So I could, in theory, take this and make it like a second circle cam and just swap them out over each other. Does that make sense?
Not really, but
all right. Let me just set it up.
I'll watch the replay.
I'll just prove it. Here.
Slow thinker.
Okay, so let me get rid of this.
God, you are bold.
And what do I want to do? I'm going to bring this back down.
Thanks, everybody, for sticking in here, however many we have. I do want to interact with you one-on-one, but give us another 5 minutes to play here. Huh. These kinds of ideas only happen from personal experience. These ideas only happen when we're just kind of doing it, I feel like I always have to say that when I do one of these test videos. You're like, why are you live streaming if you're just testing a bunch of stuff? And I do feel like I watch the replay and I see all your comments, and many of them are extremely helpful. I'm not very imaginative along those lines.
Okay.
Wow.
So
that's breaking into a sweat right now. Oh my gosh. A mobile speaker.
Do that. So you
up here
could do something like this, right? Where your camera angles can jump during the slideshow.
Oh.
And then
I'm pointing out this on my presentation, and then I'm coming back to my...
Right, so if you look behind you, stay there and just look.
I'm a trained monkey now.
Yep. All right, so you're there, and then if you want to move wide, I could go to that.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
It does. I love it. Thank you, whoever suggested that. God, I want that circle a little bigger. You really think it blocks it out, huh?
Yeah.
It's so zoomy. It's so tiny head thing. Can we go back to that one more time?
You want to see it?
Yeah. What? Yeah.
I mean, I guess the real question is how much does the content in your slideshows? The pictures didn't seem to be too much of an issue, but whenever it was covering text, I don't know if that was something you intended for people to be able to read or not.
It's a great point. I rarely have text. I'm a visual, simple, non-cluttered PowerPoint guy, but I know that many of our guest speakers are going to have a bunch of text, and I still don't think there's going to be that much way down in the corner, but yeah, maybe and I couldn't have the magic circle go away.
Sure.
If I'm directing and I'm like, oh, they're trying to show something.
Well, I mean, I could just duplicate this.
Too greedy now. Too greedy. I need to just remember how to do the basics of this. What am I doing? You're doing
so we could
Fortran
go
now.
between, right? There's your camera. Now it's gone.
Wow.
So you could do that too.
That might be that might be a solution. I think I want that circle a little bigger, especially if the speaker's back here, like they're nervous or whatever, and they don't have their nose right up on it. So they're going to be, they're still going to be tiny, but yeah, that's too big. Was that how big it was before?
Kind of, yeah.
Right in there. Let's try something like that. We'll play with it.
Okay, and then, whoops, that's not what I wanted. Make it disappear.
Yeah, I like that disappear thing.
Yeah.
Boy, you are good. Why am I looking? Matt, eye contact. You are good. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Can you get me onto this? Oh, no, I need to see the live.
Okay. So we want to put the live over there so you can just.
Sure. That's great.
I'll bring this down to me. I'll blow this up. Okay. Let's just go to your face, though, so they don't have to see the double. Okay.
Okay. And can I have the cursor, please?
Yeah. There you go.
Thank you. Popping the chat out. Oh, they can see me pop the chat out like a boss now.
Well, what are they seeing?
What are they seeing?
What
are you guys seeing?
I think they're just seeing your face right now. They're just seeing your face, and you're reading.
Okay. That's perfect. Hey, way to go, Nat. Thanks, brother, says Tink Marshino.
You should go back and read the comments. I think people were suggesting a lot of stuff.
Okay, good.
So.
Okay. Want to go out the secret door?
Sure. All right, this is off. You're good.
Thank you.
No problem.
Another tab, gift certificates coming your way. Okay.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
See you later.
Have a good weekend. Okay, I assume you can still see me and hear me, and I'm not sure if you can see the live chat now or not, but Nat has taken off, and I just have a familiar looking screen to me, which is staring at my own face and seeing the live chat. I can't pop it out like a boss, but it's live. If you wanted to ask a couple of quick questions, why not? Let's go for it. Not necessarily about the presentation you just heard, but uppercase for questions. Why not? Let's just do a few. It's late August. If you're curious about what's coming up or things you've seen recently or anything you'd like to ask, I don't know if I can. Can I slow this? Yeah, I can slow this down. Colored pens and 10 notebooks later, I'm ready and awaiting. Thank you. Yeah, I'm not sure, but I think I'm going to try to keep doing these slideshow things in the next few weeks. No promises, but I think that's the plan. Deborah Bijou's doing great. Sleeping a lot during the day because it's been very hot here, but he spends all night outside. And then at about 4:30, he meows to wake us up, and he gets let in and eats and sleeps during the day in the air conditioning at the home. So thank you for asking. He's very healthy. John wants to know, how deep does coral grow? Do not know, John. How's the Geology 210 fund going? Thank you, David. And for those, you know that I was very gun shy about any kind of money matters, but I took a lot of time to think exactly how I wanted to do that video, asking for some support for Geology 210. I don't know, can I get to my emails? No. I just had Mariah, our office person, check that account one last time yesterday. And I think the number is something like 350 of you have donated and $38,000, something like that, US dollars, all specifically for that Geology 210 fund. And those Geology 210 kids are down there right now in Bishop. Ann and Keegan are teaching this year. So sincere thank you once again. to all of you. And I don't think I'll be talking about money beyond this point, but that was very heartwarming to see that. And I see a couple of you asking, how do you fund Geology 210? I don't know. In the description below, I will put the link for the 2 videos where I was first asking for potential support for Geology 210, and then a little update video that I think I did last month that has some feedback on that and some announcements. So you can go to the link down below later on today when I see the replay of this, and you can see those videos talking about Geology 210. But lots of great support. Thank you. And I think that'll be the end of it, at least for now. Any chance for a Nick Over the Rocks helicopter tour again? Really thought that was fun. Thank you. That was some videos that I did. Whoa. Are we still functional? I had this whole dongle fall. Are we still 5x5? I've got some Chihuahua schist holding up this dongle. Okay, thanks. What was the question? Oh, Maria over in Wenatchee invited me to fly in her helicopter. This is 3 years ago, I think, before the pandemic. And she had me up there and recorded she and I talking about geology. And I haven't heard much from her since. I think maybe she felt like those flights are expensive and I didn't, really have any funds to support that. So maybe that was the end of it. But yeah, there's a few of those. I think she called them Nick Over the Rocks. That was nice. John, will I do a slide presentation of the field trip? Well, if you mean the Geology 210 field course, that is one of the links down below, but maybe that's not what you're asking. I found a bunch of old talks, pre-pandemic slideshows that I was doing with public talks around the state 4, 5, 6 years ago. And again, I want to practice with this setup that Nat has helped me with. So I think I'm going to do more of these live slideshow things in this room. Probably the next couple will be when the room is empty like it is right now. But if I get confident enough, I might invite some of you guys in. The air conditioning's broken in the building, by the way, right now. So I don't want to invite you now. It's 98 degrees outside and probably 80 degrees inside here. A few more questions and we'll close shop. Can I scroll back? Yes, I can. Just like the old times. Greg, will I be live streaming another class besides 101 and 351? I am teaching 101 starting next month. I am not live streaming. Those lectures exist online. When I live stream Geology 101, and the lectures will be identical. But I have announced that this coming spring, the spring of 2023, I will be live streaming 2 Geology 351 classes per week. And the topic for 351 will be Ice Age floods. And we will be discussing brand new research on the Ice Age floods. Haven't decided when I'm starting the Baja BC live stream series yet, Dareth, but it will start in November sometime. And I will probably go with the Wednesday and Saturday routine that we had last winter. I liked that. I guess if you had something different to suggest, great. Love the longer format videos on YouTube and enjoyed the recent podcast too. Thank you. Yeah, it's very unusual for me to be posting 2-hour field trip videos, but I have been doing that recently, and it's just yet another experimentation, I suppose. Garden has been a disappointment this year, reports Liz. Thank you, Stephen. I don't know if it was the heat or what. John Nash, Spreading Ridge John, have you been following Itchy Boots' trip toward Alaska? Her last video was in Idaho via I-90. I actually filmed yesterday in Swakane Canyon, and I made a comment about that just as I was walking back to the car. I'll repeat it here, John. Yes, I'm a huge fan of Nora Lee at Itchy Boots. YouTube channel. If you're unfamiliar, you are in for a treat. And Norley has been traveling by motorcycle around the world, and she has been in North America, and she has this week is sharing or posting videos from Idaho and Washington. And I mention it because a lot of people are not only asking me if I'm watching, because she's a geologist, but also if I'm going to, visit with her, if I'm going to connect with her. And my short answer is, I know that Norley prefers to travel solo. I respect that, and I understand why she needs to travel solo. And I also know that she needs to film months out of date with the airing of the broadcast for safety and other reasons. So even though it's late August and Norley is here with her posted videos, I know that she's in Canada or possibly even in Alaska, or maybe even done with her trip in late August. And so essentially the stuff she's airing now was filmed 2 months ago in July, I'm pretty sure, maybe even late June. And no, I did not visit with Norley. It would be a huge thrill and an honor, but she's a big deal. I'm small potatoes. And I think we both prefer to be solo folks anyway. So it would be awkward if we ever did meet. I don't know about Mount Baker's magma chamber. Hannah Shamlou, who you met with a video, is up there this week doing some research. I'm scrolling down to live, and we'll do 3 more, and we'll call it quits. How long is this? Yeah, it's about an hour. That's short compared to what I've been doing lately, right? Well, this is whatever. We got people chit-chatting in the hallway. Scrolling back to a couple last uppercase. Baja, BC will start in mid-November. Have not picked a date yet. Okay, I'm having a hard time finding 2 more questions, so we'll look for one last one. Okay, people are looking for, hey, Jerome. Looking forward to spring, says Jerome. Can I share, Jerome? Jerome, I'm going to share. One of the reasons I chose next spring to be Ice Age floods research is Jerome Lessman from Vancouver Island University, who is in the live chat right now, is going to have a little bit of freedom next spring and doesn't have to be teaching every day. Or maybe, Jerome, I forget, are you teaching at all next spring? And so what prompted me to do Geology 351 Ice Age floods is that Jerome is going to be in Eastern Washington doing some field work. And we're going to try to figure out how I can get my 351 kids to intersect with Jerome out in the field a couple times, maybe a weekend. I don't know, thinking out loud now, Jerome, maybe, oh, you're on sabbatical? Yeah. So Jerome, maybe we'll, I don't know, you want to come to Ellensburg and do a little bit here? That's the idea. That's the idea. So it's not just Jerome. There's a lot of exciting new work that I haven't really read very carefully, and that will be fun. And by that point, I'll be sick of thinking about exotic terrains anyway. But I'm currently pretty pumped about what we're going to be doing this winter. Having some phone conversations with some potential guests in the last couple of weeks. One very long phone conversation last night. Okay, I think that's enough. A toast to you. You're like, wow, this guy's getting fancy. He's drinking that? No. I found one of these fancy waters in the classroom 2 years ago, and I just keep refilling it with tap water. Here's to you and your health. I don't know. I guess I'm still going to toast to people's health. Here's to the health of your parents and grandparents, your kids and your grandkids, your friends and your neighbors, everybody in your community. It appears things aren't quite as dire as they were, but I don't know. I should keep doing that probably because we're all in this together. Here's to you. I'm just realizing right now, if I have the doors propped open during the day, I'm going to have people chatting out in the hallway, and it's going to distract me just like muffler boys. Personal problems, what can I say? Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you tuning in. I'll watch this replay, and I might keep this one on the YouTube channel. Not sure. Thank you. Enjoy your weekend. Labor Day weekend here for the Americans, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye from Ellensburg, Washington, USA.